What if I told you that a Silicon Valley investor who believes we should test drugs on humans before proving they actually work is now the second most powerful person in American healthcare? Meet Jim O'Neill, Peter Thiel's right-hand man who just became RFK Jr.'s deputy at the Department of Health and Human Services. While most people focus on Kennedy's vaccine controversies, O'Neill quietly controls the agencies that fund medical research and approve new drugs. He's part of a community that dreams of living forever, wants to build floating cities with their own medical rules, and thinks our drug approval process is way too slow. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. Jim O'Neill's path to power reads like a Silicon Valley origin story with a government twist. After graduating from Yale and studying at the University of Chicago, he initially worked in traditional Washington circles, serving senators and working in the White House. But his real transformation began when he joined the Department of Health and Human Services during the Bush administration, where he spent 5 years learning the inner workings of America's health bureaucracy. Everything changed when he met Peter Thiel, the billionaire PayPal co-founder obsessed with defeating death. O'Neill became Thiel's lieutenant, running his foundation and co-creating the famous Thiel Fellowship, the program that pays young people $200,000 to drop out of college and build companies instead. For 7 years, he managed Thiel's venture capital fund, investing in cutting-edge technologies. But O'Neill's most revealing role was running 𝐬𝐮 Research Foundation, an organization dedicated to treating aging like a disease that can be cured. Think of it as the scientific headquarters for people who believe humans shouldn't have to die of old age. During his time there, he oversaw research projects trying to reverse cellular damage and extend human lifespan indefinitely. What makes O'Neill unique isn't just his resume, it's his philosophy. He genuinely believes that government regulations are preventing medical breakthroughs that could save millions of lives. In his mind, he's not a radical. He's a reformer trying to unleash scientific progress that's been held back by bureaucratic caution. The longevity research community operates like a secret society of optimistic scientists and wealthy tech entrepreneurs. Their shared belief? Aging isn't inevitable. It's a problem to be solved. While mainstream medicine treats individual diseases like cancer or heart disease, longevity researchers want to attack the root cause, the aging process itself. O'Neill became deeply embedded in this world through his work with 𝐬𝐮 Research Foundation, which focuses on what they call rejuvenation biotechnology. The foundation funds research into repairing cellular damage, regenerating organs, and essentially resetting the human body's biological clock. It sounds like science fiction, but they're conducting real experiments with promising early results in laboratory animals. The community includes celebrities like Brian Johnson, who spends millions annually trying to reverse his aging, and serious scientists at prestigious institutions. They share a frustration. Despite promising research showing that drugs like rapamycin and metformin can extend lifespan in animals, the FDA doesn't recognize aging as a treatable condition. Here's where it gets interesting. Many longevity researchers believe current drug approval processes are the biggest obstacle to human life extension. They argue that by the time an anti-aging drug completes traditional clinical trials, taking 10 to 15 years, millions of people will have died who could have benefited. This creates a philosophical clash between safety-first medical establishment and move-fast and break-things Silicon Valley culture. O'Neill represents the latter, and now he has the power to potentially reshape how America approaches medical innovation. O'Neill's most radical idea sounds deceptively simple. Let people use experimental drugs after they're proven safe, but before we know if they actually work. In a 2014 presentation, he argued that the FDA should approve drugs after their sponsors have demonstrated safety and let people start using them at their own risk. Then, he suggested, we could figure out effectiveness later through real-world use. This philosophy extends beyond just drug approval. O'Neill has supported creating special economic zones, essentially mini-countries with their own rules about medical experimentation. Imagine floating cities in international waters where residents could access experimental treatments banned elsewhere, or land-based communities where innovative medical devices could be tested without traditional oversight. Some longevity enthusiasts have already tried this approach. In Honduras, they've established a libertarian zone called Prospera, where residents can suggest their own medical regulations. A temporary pop-up city called Vitalia operated there, complete with biohacking laboratories and clinics selling unproven gene therapies for $20,000. To O'Neill and his allies, these aren't dangerous experiments. They're necessary steps toward medical freedom. They argue that terminally ill patients should have access to promising treatments even without complete data. Critics see this as turning desperate people into guinea pigs for profit. The stakes couldn't be higher. If O'Neill implements even modest versions of these ideas, it could fundamentally change how Americans access experimental medical treatments. The question is whether this represents innovation or reckless deregulation that puts vulnerable patients at risk. As Deputy Secretary of HHS, O'Neill doesn't just have influence. He has operational control over agencies that touch every American's life. He oversees the National Institutes of Health, which funds most medical research in America with a $47 billion annual budget. He supervises the Centers for Disease Control, which protects public health during emergencies. Most importantly, he helps shape Food and Drug Administration policies that determine which treatments reach the market. The longevity community is ecstatic about his appointment. Dylan Livingston from the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives calls O'Neill one of us and believes he'll prioritize aging research as a national priority. Biotech CEOs who know O'Neill personally expect him to streamline approval processes for anti-aging therapies and direct more federal funding toward longevity research. But public health experts are sounding alarms. Diana Zuckerman from the National Center for Health Research warns that rushing unproven therapies to market makes everybody becomes a guinea pig. Public Citizen, a consumer advocacy group, called O'Neill one of Trump's worst picks and declared him unfit for the role. The tension reflects a fundamental disagreement about risk versus innovation. O'Neill's supporters argue that overly cautious regulation costs lives by delaying breakthrough treatments. His critics worry that loosening standards will allow dangerous products to reach patients before we understand their risks. With O'Neill's confirmation, this philosophical battle is moving from academic conferences and Silicon Valley boardrooms into the heart of American health policy, where decisions will affect millions of lives. Decisions being made right now about drug approval, medical research funding, and healthcare innovation will shape medicine for decades to come. Whether you're excited about faster access to experimental treatments or worried about patient safety, these policy changes will affect you and your family. Stay informed about what's happening at HHS, FDA, and NIH. These aren't boring bureaucratic agencies. They're the institutions determining your future healthcare options. What do you think about O'Neill's vision? Should we prioritize speed or safety in medical innovation? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more coverage of how technology and politics are reshaping American healthcare. Your health may depend on understanding these changes.